It isn't the superpowers that make Spider-Man a great hero. It's the selfless way he uses his abilities to help others before himself. Peter's Aunt May and Uncle Ben didn't just give him a roof over his head. They raised him into a man who cares about his fellow men, who'd always choose the greater good over his own personal life. Even without Spider-Man, Peter Parker would still be a good man. But would Spider-Man still be a good man without Peter Parker? We're about to see what happens when a less noble man takes up the mask and responsibility of being the wall crawler. A man who already thinks himself a hero even before the powers. Flash Thompson, the spectacular Spider-Man. In What If, Volume 1, Issue 7, we get a story with a mouthful of a title. What if someone else besides Spider-Man had been bitten by the radioactive spider? We open up at a familiar scene with one drastic, dramatic twist. A demonstration on radioactivity is gatecrashed by two unwelcome guests. High school jock Flash Thompson, who loudly barges into the demonstration, and an undetected spider who silently dangles in the path of the radioactive waves. The spider, suddenly bombarded by strange energy, lashes out and bites the nearest thing it can get to. Flash Thompson. Suddenly feeling sick but too manly to admit it, Flash and his two lady friends leave the exhibit only to be nearly killed by a speeding car, and Flash suddenly feels the new power swell inside him. With amazing new strength, he smashes the vehicle aside with ease. Flash and the girls are shocked by his sudden display of power, and to confirm it wasn't a one-off thing, Flash decides to test himself at a local wrestling exhibition, offering a cash prize to any who can survive a match against wrestling superstar Crusher Hogan. Crusher's got him for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime. And for Flash, it is playtime, because his new strength puts him far out of Crusher's league. So far, in fact, the Flash accidentally snaps Hogan's neck. It wouldn't be a classic issue of What If it didn't have something awful happen to the main character. Our manslaughter and sports superstar can't believe what he's done, but when the police try to bring him in, he panics. Using his spectacular new powers, Flash escapes the police. But what can he do now? Flash isn't the nicest kid in class, but he's not a sociopath. He's devastated over accidentally killing Crusher. He wants to use his new powers to do some good to try and make up for it, and he decides that if his life as Flash Thompson's over, he can start a new one as a costumed superhero. Though the world might hate Flash Thompson, the fugitive football star, soon it'll marvel at the awesome might of Captain Spider. Wall crawling, super strength, a psychic danger sense, perfect equilibrium. These and only these are the powers of the new hero in town, and with an awful sin to make up for, Flash gets to work. Captain Spider's crusade against crime goes well at first, with the wall crawler winning his first fights against villains like the Chameleon and the Tinkerer. But one night, while breaking up a robbery, the captain comes face to face with a foe far more savage than what he's used to. The villainous Vulture feasts upon the scraps of the foiled robbery. But Captain Spider won't let the feathered felon get away without a fight. Thompson tries to hit the Vulture, but he's too fast, too maneuverable in his masterfully crafted flight suit. Vulture and Captain Spider take to the skies in their super strength struggle, but sadly, the skies are the Vulture's domain. He rules the roost while Captain Spider is nothing but prey. One solid blow to Flash's head and his spider grip around the villain loosens. With no webs to save him, Flash can do nothing but watch as his death approaches at terminal velocity. Despite all the powers the radioactive spider had given him, none of them could save Flash from hitting the cold, unforgiving ground. Captain Spider's body is found by Peter Parker, a fan of the wall crawler, and he's devastated to not only see his hero die, but to discover that all along Captain Spider was his schoolyard rival, Flash Thompson. A sad ending for Flash in this universe. Just like with Peter in the main line, one mistake cost him his life, but while Peter's made him spend his life serving others, Flash's mistake cost him all of his. But we're not done yet, because this universe isn't the only instance of Flash Thompson becoming Spider-Man. In 2018, the idea was revisited, giving Flash a cool spider suit, a different backstory, and a new adventure in a book simply titled, What If Flash Thompson Became Spider-Man? In this universe, the circumstances of Flash's origins are similar to what we saw last time, only here, he seems to have took things a bit slower. Using his powers for fame and fortune as a masked wrestler, Flash was faced with the same dilemma that usually haunts Peter Parker. But, already seeing himself as a hero thanks to his time as a football star, Flash stops the burglar. Absolutely loving the attention and admiration of a hero's life, Flash goes all in. He dropped out of school to be a full-time adventurer and used his confidence and charisma to get the people on his side, including J. Jonah Jameson, whose son's death in an aerospace accident changed his views on the government. Now Spider-Man fights for justice, but mostly for himself, as he rips villains apart for the glory. But the people of New York are starting to see Spider-Man for what he really is, a violent egomaniac with more power than responsibility. And for this, Flash personally blames Peter Parker, a photographer for the Daily Bugle. Spidey claims Parker's photos make him look bad, but all Peter shoots is the truth. And Peter's got his own problems. He works so hard because every paycheck goes towards treatment for his Aunt May's blood cancer, which threatens to end the life of the only mother he's ever known. But now, the only known treatment, Isotope 36, has been stolen before it could get to the hospital. The police believe a man known as the Master Planner is responsible, but they've been outwitted by the mysterious criminal. Uncle Ben offers Peter some comforting words, but words won't save Aunt May. Peter needs a hero. Peter needs Spider-Man. Flash's life hasn't turned out the way he dreamed it would. Despite believing himself to be the hero, he's disrespected in both identities. With no higher education or real-life skills, the only thing Flash had going for him was his reputation as a hero, but with the public starting to fear Spider-Man more and more, soon he won't even have that. And now, Flash's secret is compromised. He returns home to find Peter Parker holding his costume. Peter had planted a tracker on Spidey's suit to help him get photos for the Bugle, but now he's come to ask Spider-Man's help in recovering the isotope his aunt needs to live from the Master Planner. But Flash is furious, angry at being denied the life of luxury he thinks he deserves, and blaming everyone but himself. Flash lashes out at Peter, and one punch is all it takes. Again, Flash has accidentally taken an innocent life. Peter is dead. Flash can't believe what he's done, but he does know that he needs to make up for it. He's killed a Parker, and now he needs to save a Parker. Spider-Man begins the hunt for the Master Planner. But after tearing the New York underworld apart and discovering the hidden underwater base of the Planner, the Predator becomes the prey when Spider-Man is himself ensnared by the Master Planner, revealed to be Spidey's old foe, Dr. Octopus. One thing I hadn't considered is that in this universe, Uncle Ben never died, so Dr. Octopus never had his love affair with Aunt May, meaning that this Doc Ock is even more brutal than usual. And a Spider-Man without Peter Parker's brains stands little chance against the superior intellect of Dr. Octopus. Spider-Man manages to get a hold of the isotope that can save May Parker's life, but thanks to the battle, Doc Ock's base crumbles. Doc Ock narrowly escapes, but Spider-Man isn't so lucky. He's pinned down by the rubble as the filthy river water starts slowly flooding the room. Staring death in the face, Flash can only reflect on the life he's led and finally admits to himself that he's not the hero he thought he was. A lifetime of thinking he's better than everyone else has only led to suffering, but Flash isn't ready to die yet. Not until he's made up for his mistakes. Flash returns the isotope to the hospital, and May Parker wakes up to a world without a nephew. And Spider-Man turns himself in, ready to finally accept responsibility. So get on to this. Captain Spider literally survived 2 issues. He got through Amazing Fantasy 15 and Amazing Spider-Man issue 1 because the Vulture first appears in issue 2 and he killed the Cap here. And in the first meeting, so he didn't even get like halfway through issue 2, come on dude. Meanwhile, Flash as Spider-Man managed to keep it going until issue 33, If This Be My Destiny, and survived onwards. And they had the cooler costume. I think a continuation of Flash as Spider-Man would be interesting, seeing how he gets on in prison alongside all the people he's no doubt put there. By issue 33, Spider-Man's already fought Kraven, Mysterio, Sandman, the Green Goblin, Electro and loads more, so Flash facing them in Rikers could be fun. Nerdy nitpick, but in the original comics, Aunt May was dying and needed the isotope because Peter had given her a transfusion of his radioactive blood. But obviously Flash didn't do that here, this was just blood cancer. Grim. In the early years of Spider-Man, we mostly saw Flash through the eyes of Peter, where he was a loud, argumentative show-off, always trying to make a show of Peter. Which contrasted nicely with how Flash was always Spider-Man's #1 fan, and he was always defending Spidey to the police or to his fellow students whenever the public turned against the webhead, which seemed to happen every week. I wouldn't say he was a bully to Peter, but he was definitely an antagonist. But as time went on, Flash grew as a character, revealing he only ever tried to force Peter out of his shell, trying to save him from the self-isolation Peter's dual identity forced into him. Back then, comic characters actually developed and grew, which is something that Spider-Man in particular was praised for. So going from Peter's enemy to becoming one of Peter's best friends, and eventually a hero in his own right, Flash is arguably just as important to the Spider-Man story as Harry Osborn, Gwen Stacy, and even Mary Jane herself.